Then a creative force created living organisms on some of the planets. Later, the human being, the highest of these living organisms, arose. Man, who is the highest of living beings, was able to turn the vast majority of this living organism to his advantage with the help of his consciousness. In my opinion, the creative force created man, the highest living organism, in all galaxies everywhere in the universe. Man, the highest living organism, was created by a creative force, perhaps shortly after the Big Bang. We will know the history of the creation of this first man after learning the secrets of the universe. According to me, the first people who appeared in the universe lived for a long time on the planet where they were born, and acquired great achievements in science and technology. Using the achievements of science, they were able to study the gravitational force of the universe. They built huge spaceships because of this gravitational force. Thanks to the ships, they had the opportunity to fly within the galaxies, perhaps to other galaxies in the universe. Using the opportunity of flight, they searched for new habitats, energy sources, and precious metals in the galaxies, perhaps in the universe. During the search, they discovered new planets. After knowing the composition, character, magnetic field of the new planets, in short, the possibility of living organisms, they placed that planet around a sun-type star. Then, when we humans build a new settlement on the Earth, they also carried out the same process, just as we provide that area with everything necessary, that is, building materials, electricity, water, gas. After they placed that planet around a star, they first brought water there. With the arrival of water, living organisms appeared on this planet because water is the carrier of living organisms. After establishing the necessary conditions for man, who is the superior of all living things on the planet, they moved people to that planet. All this process is created thanks to the help of God. According to Muslims, God, according to Christians, who is the supreme creative force. The creative force, regardless of where people live in the universe, has always helped people and protected them from harm. The creative force controls people with the help of its angels, calls them to be on the path of truth and not to eat other people's rights. That force, which we know as the creative force, is the owner of the entire universe. We have seen from the above study that the Earth is located in the most favorable part of the solar system. According to me, the two planets from Earth to the Sun, Mercury and Venus, regulate the heat energy on Earth. Mars, the fourth planet after Earth, has a role in the creation of the cold air layer in the Earth's atmosphere. The two great gas planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are the protectors of the Earth. These two planets move away from the Earth all the objects coming from the universe and the galaxy that can cause great damage and disaster, or they destroy them by attracting them. If the above fails to occur, the object explodes and destroys the obstacle due to its gravitational force. Uranus and Neptune, the seventh and eighth ice planets from the Sun, regulate the cold climate of the solar system. It is hard to believe that the Earth, which is so protected and regulated, was created by chance in the solar system. We have seen from the above study that water was brought to Earth artificially. With the arrival of water, the Earth turned from a dead planet into a living planet. With the arrival of water, dry land, atmosphere, ocean and sea areas were created on the Earth, in short, favorable conditions for the living and development of living organisms, including humans, are created. Nowhere in the universe without water could so many living organisms form or grow. About 9 million living species live on Earth. More than half of these creatures live in water, some live on land, and others live both in water and on land. Some of them are born and multiply through female reproduction, and some through hatching. The most miraculous and mysterious thing about the way of growth of these creatures in the world is that no growth is possible in the absence of a male seed. Even the human being, the highest living organ in the world, cannot grow or produce a fetus without a male seed. All over the world, living things that increase by birth are born after the first seed that falls into the mother's body develops, grows, and completes the development period of the fetus in the mother's womb. Therefore, water is the primary source for the creation and survival of living things. According to me, the first living thing on Earth was created thanks to water, and its species were much less than those of today, that is 9 million. The next process, i.e., the process of increase of species, increased due to the mating of living things and reached the modern era. But is man, the highest living organism, a product of the Earth, or was he brought from another planet? To find the answer to this question, let's start with bringing water to Earth. From the moment water came to the Earth, only one ocean, one continent, and one sea were formed on the Earth. In modern science, this period is called the Pangean period. Modern science says that the Pangean period lasted until the Paleozoic period. The Paleozoic era began about 0.570 billion years ago. Let's calculate the lifespan of the Pangean era. Modern science says that the first life on Earth appeared about 4 billion years ago, so water came to Earth 4 billion years ago. Then the duration of the Pangean era was as shown in the following report. If we subtract the age of the Paleozoic era, the age of the arrival of water on Earth, that is 4 billion, then we will find the age of the Pangean era. 4 billion years, 970 billion years, 3.430 billion years. From this report, it can be concluded that the Pangean epoch was 3,430 billion years old. One cannot believe this report. How can it be that during the 3,430 billion years of the Pangean era, that is, there was only one ocean, one continent, one sea, and there was no sliding, no splitting? Suddenly, that is, about 570 million years ago, a landslide occurred on Earth? As a result of this landslide, large continents, namely the American continent and the Australian continent, separated from the mother body and moved to a distance of 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers. Did they attach the ice to the bottom of these continents, or did they attach the wheels so that they slipped to such a long distance in a short period of time? Scientists say that the continents are moving about 2 centimeters a year. If we believe this report, then the American continent would not be 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers away from Africa and Europe, but 9,000 to 10,000 kilometers away. Then, with this report, all the continents should either ride back or stand side by side. Modern scientists say that these continents, i.e., the continents of America and Australia, moved about 2 centimeters a year from the main continent and became what they are today. If so, then let's take a look at the Earth's crust. The thickness of the Earth's crust is between 40 to 50 kilometers. This crust was formed in the following way. First, the Earth's crust did not cool from the top to the bottom, but rather from the bottom to the top. This process happened like this. The Earth, which was in the form of an ember, lost the energy of its upper part and collapsed. In the subsequent process, this solidification did not go to the lower part of the Earth's crust. Due to the high activity of the Earth, high pressure was created in the lower part of the newly formed Earth's crust. This pressure breaks the crust from the lower part of the Earth's crust, sending a large mass of lava into the upper part of the Earth's crust. The flow distance of this lava is greater than 3,000 to 5,000 km in all directions, perhaps greater in the period when the Earth's crust was newly formed. Such lava flows have occurred almost everywhere on Earth. As a result of this process, the rocks of the Earth's crust were formed. The hardness of rocks depends on the composition of the lava that created it. If the lava erupting from under the Earth's crust consists of heavy elements, then solid rocks are formed. If, on the contrary, if it is composed of light elements, then loose rocks are formed. This tells us that the Earth's crust is layered, and that rocks are solid and hollow. On Earth, mountains were formed from solid rocks, and land areas were formed from loose rocks. Earth may have a fault zone. However, this can only be due to water. Ocean water sinks beneath the dry land area. At this time, the water erodes the rocks under the dry land area, and as a result, the bottom of that land area is loosened or softened. After unloading, the weight of the soil sinks down, resulting in failure. Fracture can only occur in areas where water has soaked into the soil. I think this fracture can be about 200 to 500 kilometers deep into the Earth. The length of the fault may be 1,000 kilometers to 2,000 kilometers landward. This collapsed land remains where it collapsed. There is no such force, such a mechanism on Earth. which could create a continent by pushing the broken land area 4 to 5,000 kilometers. If the broken land area is separated from the main continent, then according to the law of motion mechanics, it should be in a direction either westward or eastward. On our Earth, the American continent has shifted to the west, and the Australian continent has shifted to the east. If the continents of America and Australia on the Earth were formed by fracturing, then this fracturing would start from the lower layer of the Earth's crust. If the fracturing started at the bottom of the Earth's crust, there would be a large eruption of lava from below the crust. Then, instead of a break in this fracture zone, mountains would be formed. We have understood from the above study that the continents of America and Australia were not formed by faulting and sliding. Boss. How did the process of living life on Earth happen? In my opinion, first people living on alien planets and possessing high technology put the Earth in the solar system. Later, they placed 2 hot planets, 1 cold planet, 2 gas planets, and 2 ice planets in the solar system to establish or obtain the necessary conditions on Earth. On Earth, which is conveniently located in the solar system, they brought water to create living organisms. With the arrival of water on the Earth, wet and dry land areas appeared on the Earth. With the arrival of water, an ocean, a continent, a sea, mountains, and rivers appeared on Earth. In order to establish the necessary living conditions for life on Earth, they brought the Earth's Sputnik, the Moon, to change the daily speed of the Earth from 6 hours to 24 hours, to set ocean water in motion, and to create wind and rain. It may be asked why aliens created the Earth. In my opinion, the original purpose of the creation of the Earth by aliens was to create a supply base of precious metals necessary to restore their planet's depleted energy. The second reason is to create an abode for man, the highest of living beings. We calculated the Pangean era above. The lifetime of this period was about 3,430 billion years. At that time, a large area of the Earth was water, and a small part was dry. Let's think together. The aliens who created the Earth for exploitation would not have stayed on Earth for 3,130 billion years with the little land area. They would break up the Earth and create many new land masses to continue their exploitation. I think for this reason, they created 5 continents by splitting a continent on Earth. After fragmentation, the area of dry land on Earth increased 5-10 times. With the increase in land area, the number of living things, including the number of people living on dry land, has also increased. After the explosion, the Earth's climate changed, and land areas with a temperate climate increased. Perhaps people were brought to Earth after this explosion. Maybe there were no conditions for human life on Earth before the explosion. Perhaps no man lived on Earth during a continental era. But how did the process of getting 5 continents from one continent to Earth? I think that the aliens who artificially built the Earth in the solar system brought some object in the solar system of our galaxy, either a satellite or a comet, into the gravitational force of the Earth. According to me, America was the first continent to separate from the mother continent. In order to separate it, they probably dropped several objects at the same time on the modern western side of the African and European continents of the Earth. As a result of the impact of these bodies, the bottom part of the dry land was treated with groundwater, and the solid rocks located on the top layer shifted 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers and created the modern American continent. In the beginning, North and South America were united. In the next process, they split a continent into 2 parts by releasing an object to the one American continent. If we look closely at the map of the Americas in modern times, we will see the footprint of a body that splits the entire Americas in half. The trace is in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico is shaped like a balloon. This indicates that the celestial body that divides the continent in half was in the shape of a balloon. The depth of the bay is deeper than the seas close to it. This indicates that a foreign body has fallen into this bay. If we look carefully at the northern part of the North American continent, we will see that there are many islands, lakes, and many land areas with irregular relief. What is the reason? Before separating the Americas from the mainland, the northern part of these lands was closely connected with the lands of the Arctic Ocean. At the time of the explosion, it was barely separated from the land of the Arctic Ocean. Therefore, the northern part of the modern North American continent is in pieces. If the American continent was formed by sliding, then the lands would not be scattered but whole. This is evidence that the continent was forcibly separated from the main continent by an explosion, not by breaking and sliding. If we look carefully at the relief of the central lands of the two American continents, we will see that there are many islands in these areas. The fact that these islands are in a scattered form indicates that they were not separated from the American continent by voluntary sliding, but were formed by the impact of a large force impact. If these islands were formed due to millions of years of sliding of the American continent through faulting, then such islands would be all along the American continent. In the breakup of Pangaea, the second separation process from the parent continent was the separation of the Australian continent. This continent was also formed by the impact of an asteroid or a comet brought from the sky to the Earth at an artificial speed, breaking away from the mother continent and sliding. Those lands are called the lands of Central Asia. If we look carefully at the relief of the lands of Central Asia, we will see thousands of islands and hundreds of seas in these lands. According to me, the vast majority of these islands are land areas where water could not tear from the Earth's crust when water first came to the Earth. A few of these islands are pieces of land that broke off when the Australian continent was formed. The third moment in the collapse of the Pangaean era, the Big Impact, that is, the largest asteroid or comet, was thrown into the area where the modern Black Sea is located. Thanks to this impact, the relief of the Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea, the Greater and Lesser Caucasus Mountains, the Carpathian Mountains, the mountains located in the lands of modern Turkey, and the lands of Europe were formed. The name of the Black Sea was given due to the black color of the water. The name was given by the Turks. Due to the high temperature and high pressure of the asteroid or comet falling on this Earth, the walls of your black stone have hardened to such a high degree that they have retained their quality despite the passage of billions of years. The materials of the asteroid or comet falling on the lands of Damali and the Black Sea consist of heavy metals.